Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of indie comics publishers and creators. But please, first, hit like, hit subscribe, share out the videos, let everybody know we're here. And one more time, there's a very special campaign going on Kickstarter. You get 9 books. It's called The Fellowship of the Indies. You know, and they got a bunch of great books in there. Hero by Zero, The Oswald Chronicles, Tall Tales, Wellkeeper, God's Hand, Revolt, Only Death Can Save Us, Hybrid Son of Gods, and Shield of the Interceptor. So please, go check it out. It's in the show notes. Go do that now. And without further ado, I'm bringing in my co-host, the auteur of Shield of the Interceptor. I gotta find the damn button. There you go.
What's up? What's up? How we
Look at
going,
that.
folks? Thank you for such a warm welcome. Unfortunately, I am not the auteur of that particular issue. I am the creator of that.
Oh, he's the creator. That's
spun
right.
Spun off of that book. Who had that book? Spun off of from. And those first 2 issues of Shield of the Interceptor were written by Brandon Easton. And for those of you who don't know Brandon, he wrote on season 1 of the Transformers animated series on Netflix. He wrote on Peggy Carter, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He wrote The Last Mr. Miracle for DC that came out. Brandon's a cool dude. But if you want to check out that books and other things that I have written or produced, you can go to unstoppablecomics.com. All roads lead back to the Unstoppable works.
There you go. That is our co-host, and now here's our co-host.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening? Say Michael Lanning, independent artist. Have done work for Arrow Comics and others. Also a panelist on the show Dispatches from Outside the Box at 9 p.m. Tuesdays on the RAGIN 2 Broadcasting Network.
That's right. What's going to be your subject this week?
Comic strips. We have Michael Oden and George Gant of Beware of Toddler on. So that should be pretty interesting.
All right, that's cool. All right. Yeah. All right. Comic strips. Okay, that's cool. And Mr. Marvin, what's up?
What's going on, gentlemen?
What up?
Sunday night at 7:30. Where else would I be?
There's no football. So we could be here, baby.
Is it USFL or something?
What's that?
United States Football League.
No, what's that? Is that like a minor?
It's not even a minor league team. All the games are played in one stadium. That's below minor.
Oh man.
Weekend Warriors.
Hey guys.
Damn. So Marvin, introduce yourself.
I'm Marvin Wynn. I am the writer of The Edge, coming straight out of Comicsburg.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you can't see it, there it is.
There you go. When is that launching?
We are launching on May the 12th.
Nice. Okay, cool. I gotta get my credit card ready.
Oh.
Credit cards, your debit cards, your checks, money order.
Blood samples.
There you go.
What's that? Bitcoin?
Yeah, Bitcoin. Cows.
What's up, Ruben?
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
Yo.
We're good. Please introduce yourself.
I am Ruben Romero, writer and creator of The Agency, co-creator of Inferi, and writer of my new series and creator of my new series, The Illusion Witch, that is coming to comic book stores on June 15th through Behemoth Entertainment.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's funny. It's Behemoth? Well, I thought it was BDI you were going through for some reason. I don't know. I was bugging out.
Nah, yeah, it's Behemoth. I also have The Agency and Inferi both coming through Second Sight as well.
Oh, okay.
So that's later on in the year as well.
All right, cool. Well, I ordered it through Diamond, so you get at least one order from New York.
Listen, the one order is plenty. That's it. I can be happy now. I can stop sweating. You know?
No, you need about 30,000 more. Trust me.
I was gonna say you're happy with one order.
Listen,
what are you doing for 2, brother?
I'm just listen. You know, you'd be surprised. No, we were just having this conversation as well. I'm just thankful. I'm grateful, really, to have the opportunity. The fact that anybody wants to distribute my book is still like a crazy concept to me. And the fact that, you know, it's going to be available in any comic book store that you walk into is pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. No, man. I'm looking forward to it. You know, because I think the last thing of yours that I read, I picked up was The Agency. So I'm looking forward to this one. So it's gonna be nice.
And what's final order cutoff for your new book?
The 15th of May.
Okay, so that's what expected in July in stores.
June.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. Man. Best of luck.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
He doesn't need it. He's gonna make it, and he's gonna make it triple time.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Calderon giving you coffee.
From your lips to God's ears, man. That's all we can. That's all I can hope for. You know.
That's it, bro. Yeah, man. You got to stay positive in this business. You can't be like, you know, because it's easy not to be. You know, it's easy
100%.
not to.
Yeah.
100%.
All right,
I think as creators we beat ourselves up, but you know it's good to also think positively and trust me, there's not a morning that doesn't go by that I'm just like, man, it'd be crazy, just, you know, like 25, 30,000, you know, like I let myself imagine, but I come back down, you know, just because at the end of the day it is what it is, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Listen, we shoot for 50, you know, and then if you hit 20, you'll be good, right?
Exactly.
What the fuck are you pulling these numbers out of?
They're just numbers. That's the wonderful thing about them. You can just say whatever fucking number you want, and it'll be what it is.
I'm like, fuck, what do you know that I don't know?
That's what's getting Netflix into trouble right now. They were just like, yeah, there's like 100 million streams, and it's like, nah, that's not what the numbers say.
Yep.
That's why they don't have to. That's why they don't have to report those numbers, because they just make them up out of thin air.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow.
Listen, it's worked this far.
Yeah.
Serious.
You know, now if they just put out some good shows.
Oh, don't say that, man. There's some good stuff on there. There's quality.
Right, there are. There's like 10 out of like the 5,000 that they got.
Get out of here, man. Stop.
I'll give you 20. How many? You're gonna tell me there are more than 20 good shows, really good shows that they made.
That's different. That's different than what they produced. You know, had a hand in that they distribute. Totally different. Totally.
Well, we're talking about anything they've had a hand. I would say just 20. And I think that's pushing it, because I really think it's 10.
Okay.
But you got to also think about like the global impact, right? That some of the things have had, right? Not everything that they've had, but just in one in particular, and it's an easy one to go to and point to. But with Stranger Things, every platform and every network turned the Duffer Brothers down.
Mm-hmm.
Now every network and every platform is hoping that Netflix fails so that they can have that show or have a chance at that show. Because at the end of the day, it's like they have, you know, Mindhunter is another one that comes to mind that is just like people could not stop talking about it, right? Mm-hmm. And then they also have, you know, we're going into weeds here, but they, you know, a plethora of documentaries that, honestly speaking, that probably wouldn't have had as big of an impact as they did if they weren't on Netflix. So, you know, nobody would have been talking about Tiger King if it was on, you know, some other streaming network. You know what I'm saying? It was lucky it was on Netflix. So they're going to be all right. But it's one of these situations where, as creators and content creators that own original IP and want to go to a place where you feel is going to be upfront and do the things that you want, they're not looking right now, you know, in terms of all of that, you know. And you look behind the scenes with all the Mark Millar stuff, you know, how it's been hit or miss and not well promoted at all. You kind of wonder, where does it come from?
That is, I think, one of the biggest drawbacks, because a few years ago you had Alvaro Rodriguez, who he was one of the co-writers on the Dusk Till Dawn TV series. He's had his works, you know, in a lot of places, and he had an animated series come out, Seis Manos, right? Right off the bat, you know, you got a Spanish title in an English market, right? That deals with old school grindhouse kung fu set in Mexico, right? So the hook was interesting. Right? The story played out great because it tied that in to, you know, the Santeria stuff that is prevalent in the Latin American Christianity cultures, but it just didn't get the push, man. You know, you even had what's his name, Danny Trejo, voicing the main bad guy, and who doesn't love Danny Trejo? You know,
For real.
right? And it went six episodes. Oh, not just him. It had also the gentleman who played Luke Cage,
Mike Coulter.
Michael Coulter, right?
Mhm.
He was one of the other lead male voices, and you know they left the production team languishing, you know, for years. Like, oh, we don't know what we're gonna do. We don't know what we're gonna do, and then the pandemic happened, and then. But I'm sure had they pushed production forward on that prior to the pandemic, where people were looking for content and they weren't even putting the marketing dollars behind it, something like that would have exploded.
I mean, Arcane did it
Arcane?
with very little promotion, because outside of what League of Legends was doing, you know. But I mean, I didn't know that show was coming at all. Like,
right. I didn't know, but the League of
Yeah,
Legends people kept that alive, man.
yeah,
And it's a great show. If nobody,
I've never played a minute of League of Legends, and I adore the show. But that's a testament to the storytelling, the world building, and by far the animation that's head and shoulders above anything that's on Netflix.
100%.
Yep.
100%. Yep.
All right, guys. Enough about Netflix. Look, let's get down to business.
Oh, Netflix is at my door. Hold on.
They cut the check, Netflix. Cut the check.
Exactly. That's all we need. They cut the check. They're fine. They're in.
Yeah.
All right. Check it out. Here's a question for you guys. In producing your comics, are you meeting your core course / breaking even? You know, just we know what those core costs are. You know, art, penciling, inking, lettering, all that jazz. Are you meeting those costs? And if you are, or if you're not, what are you trying to do to make it to that level where you are meeting those costs? Let's start with Mr. Wynn, because I know he lives that life.
Yeah, man.
I would say I'm doing a little over even, breaking even. I mean, with conventions back, we did what, 15, almost 12 or 15 conventions last year.
Nice.
I don't think we're going to do that many this year, but I mean, we've got some big shows coming up this year. I think next year we're going to hit some more. So I actually saw that someone, because I've been going back and forth with that licensing expo in Vegas, and I saw someone is going to do it. So I'm going to do it next year and just check it out and see what's going on there, because I mean, you might as well try everything if you can.
Let me know, because I've been playing around with doing that for years.
Yeah.
I know that particular lunatic or crazy person. His name is Samuel Burr. Crazy man himself. All right. So, but Sam has been in it before. He says he's passed up on some opportunities, but I think he's retooled things, and I think he's in a better headspace and in a better position where he can start negotiating.
Well,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I think it's best if you feel like that your IP can be branded to stretch out into different avenues. Like I just posted into the chat that I'm working with Heroes Live TV to create content. So I mean, like we were talking about Netflix and all those other ones. Like there are these indie streaming services that are out there. I mean, you do know you got Tubi and Pluto as free services, but they're owned by big corporations that you don't even know. Like I think Pluto is owned by CBS. So I mean, there are other ones out there, and I just was hoping that we could start promoting other things that are trying to build audiences and getting more indie looks at things that pretty much aren't being seen by anybody. So we'll see how it goes, because this is going to be the home of that's the Script from Store series I've been talking about for the last couple months. It'll premiere there, and then we'll see how far it stretches after that.
All right, cool.
Nice.
Ruben, how you doing?
You know, with every project that I've done, I think I've always made the initial investment. As always, I think that you have to do. But I've been fortunate with Kickstarter that's the last that went in. You know, everything has kept kind of snowballing forward, luckily, to where, yeah, of course, you gotta play. You know, you gotta plug and play some places. You know. A couple covers from people you didn't know maybe in that first time, you know, around, and now you've got access to them. So, you know, I think you invest as you go along. I haven't been doing a lot of conventions just because, you know, I work like crazy, and me and my writing partner when I'm not at work and I'm not writing comics, we're writing scripts. You know, we just got a manager from the Tobias Literary Agency in November last year. So we've kind of been working overtime to get a lot of, you know, content to him in terms of finished scripts.
Nice.
You know, I'm planning on going back to conventions. I tell my wife all the time, my fiance all the time, I'm like, this isn't about making money right now. This is about just really pushing it forward. And I think, of course, I want to make money, but it requires that kind of situation where you are, like Marvin was talking about, going to conventions, doing 12, 15 shows a year. You have to really be on that grind to really make anything out of it, because it's the printing, it's the initial cost, then it's the printing of the books, then it's the booth tables if you're not invited, the food, the gas, the moving around, everything you got to do. So it's a business, right? So
Of course.
you know, I look at it like at this moment in time, I'm hoping that the publishing route, you know, brings that kind of those initial investments and the money that I'm putting in back, because I'm not focused on comicsology. I'm not doing any of that. All of that is going through my publisher. So I'm just waiting to see how that kind of plays out. But going back to conventions is definitely a plan to further things along, because there are other projects that I want to do, you know. So I definitely want to come back this year with another series. I have 2 working in the background right now, but I want one to drop this year for sure. So I know I'm gonna have to put some money up. So I got to go make some first. So got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. I know that feeling. Mr. Lanning, what do you got?
Well, since I just got paid for something I did, so that helps to pay for my Dropbox. I think.
Nice.
for a couple of months anyway.
The community, baby.
But other than that, I'm still waiting for my Clip Studio to pay for itself. So no, it has. But other than that, that's all I got. I'm sorry.
Gotcha. All right, Mr. Rosario, you're another one that lives that life. What you got?
There is so much to unpack on your question. Really, because you know, as indie person, or the indie community needs to shift their thinking, and you know, it's not about how much you get on that drop, on that initial launch, right? It's printing up the product, printing it up in droves, and making sales over the lifetime of the print run of that product. So I always talk about offset printing, right? And I know there are people that watch the show that use POD. Nothing wrong. God bless you, right? But you know, when you use POD as opposed to offset, you're trading short-term sales for long-term sales, right? So let's say you're doing something the equivalent of 3,000 units, full color, whatever, 24 to 32 pages, anywhere between 1,800 to 2,200 around there. All right. Offset, you're looking at that. Digital, yeah, you're not printed up 3,000 units digital, right? So your cost per unit when it comes to offset is somewhere in the 60 to 70 cents a unit range, right? And you're selling it anywhere for $3 to $5. Well, in the long run, if you do well, that's 15 grand as opposed to, right, 15 grand gross. I mean, whatever. And I'm just throwing that out there. Of course, there's going to be damages. Of course, there's going to be freebies given away. You know, product that gets lost or stolen, stuff like that. So you're not going to hit that, but that's that goal. That's that potential. You're not going to hit that with printing up 200 or 300 copies on POD, right? And you're not going to make money in the long run, which you can reapply to creating new content. I mean, we're not out here. I always say this: we're not out here in Manchester Maseratis, right? We're doing this for the love of it. And we've got, even though we've got, you know, something we're putting out there to the public, we've got so many different fires burning in the background, and we want to fund it. Funding it through offset, I know it's tight for a lot of people to drop that, you know, $2,500 with shipping for those books, but in the long run, you can make that back, man. You're gonna make that back, and you're gonna use that to make new content and expand your catalog, and that's how you become known.
All right, cool. Now I have to say though, if someone steals your stuff off your table, you should be happy about that. You have a good book, bro. You have a good book. I've been at convention.
I love that. I love that.
I've been at convention.
Online. You know, I check all those pirate sites.
No,
fucking books are on there.
No, I'm talking about at conventions. I've been at shows where you know you set up at a college campus, right? And then you come back the next day and you notice a few books are gone, but the guy next to you stole none of his stuff, so you know his stuff wasn't worth anything. So
the same Rosario's like, I'm checking the pirate sites. If I'm on there, baby, I made it. That's what that means.
You're fucking right, man.
There's free advertising.
Yeah,
You may
right.
not know me here in the States, but in India, I'm a fucking king, baby. I'm a fucking king.
I'm a king.
International success.
Top five. I've searched it.
Listen,
Good.
I'm Puerto Rican, but I got no problem eating fucking tikka masala and fucking palestinian, bro. Throw that shit with some naan bread my way. I'll eat that up. Eat that the fuck up.
Nice. Oh, but you know what's funny was that you didn't answer the crux of that question.
I'm sorry.
you
There was a lot to unpack. Go ahead. Shoot.
No, there was. Are you making like Are you making your costs?
Have I made my money back for everything that I have produced up to this point? Yes, yes. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Ruben said something earlier. You know, with crowdfunding, I believe you said, right? You get to reinvest that. Well, I haven't run a crowdfunding campaign in almost 2 years, right? So that nest egg that I was building up to fund future product, it's gone, right? The pandemic, it went south for ever, and a few other hiccups that happened along the way with untimely distribution routes ended up digging that hole a bit deeper. So I have to get back on the rebound. I have to start doing conventions again. That's where I excel, right? The digital realm, it's not my arena. I'm here with you guys, but I don't do a lot of these shows. My bread and butter is doing the conventions, you know, packing it up like a traveling indie band in the back of the trunk and hitting as many shows and building up that network, right? That newsletter to get people to fund me when I release new products.
Mm-hmm.
Was there more to the question?
Nah, man, that was it. I saw you talking, so I figured I'd let you finish.
And
all
then
right.
what happened was
all right. For myself, I think I'm about, I don't know, maybe 90% covered, 95% covered on my stuff. Because I started off with a war chest and I keep trying to rebuild it and I just respend it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a little weird because it's like I have so much content and I've made so much that I don't even know where I'm at. I'm like, you know, but it's one of those things. But it's constantly, you know, because I don't know about you guys, but at the end of the year, I like my accounts for my company to be pretty much at like $10, so that when the tax man comes around, I say I spent it all.
okay.
I can cut you a $3 check if you want it. You want it, no problem. You know.
Yeah, right.
So when my accountant hits me up, you know, they're like, "All right, well, you owe $52." I'm like, "Sure." You know, that's an easy check to cut. You know, but it's you know it's a grind, like Rosario said, like all of us saying. The thing is what do you, Rosario? Because I know you look into it a lot. I use POD a lot, like you said, for the short-term sales. The only reason is I've done offset, and you know I've slept on books. You know, and when I say sleep on books, I mean I've made a pallet and I've thrown a blanket on it, and I could sleep on it. That's how many books are there.
Nice.
It's like, you know, so it's a lot of damn books. You know, especially when you're doing them consistently. I was doing through Diamond 3,000 books every other month, and you know, even if you sell 2,200 of them, right, you still got 800. And after a year, you know, you can do the math on that. You know,
Right. And you know what? After the year, it's going to start costing you because you're paying for storage on that, right? It's taking up space for new product. So that does happen. But how do you offload it, right? Here we are. This is the place where we talk about stuff like that. And there's so many different avenues to move dead stock. And one of the things I always talk about is I throw these mystery boxes together, right? Throw these little clamshell boxes. I label them. And I have product in there that is just it's stock that's not moving, but people who come to the shows are like, oh my god, what could be in there, right? And for $20 to $25, depending on how many you're going to buy, I'm moving product. Is it at a discount? Yes. But is it taking up space in, the storage shed and the storage locker on the bed that me and my wife have to sleep on top of because we don't we need the space, so the box spring went out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's there's different ways to utilize that stuff. Going back to the newsletter, right? Let's talk about cost of acquisition per customer. How many people do you go, oh, hey, why don't you sign up for the newsletter? And they move out. Oh, well, you know what? Take some of those dead stock, right? And use that as an incentive to get people to sign up for your newsletter. That easy. Hey, it cost you 40, 50, 60, 75 cents to get that person to sign up for your newsletter, which in turn you hope will convert to sales later on down the road, right? Another way to utilize some of that dead stock, free comic book day. Every fucking year in May, we know there's a free comic book day. Go to your local shop, talk to them. Hey, listen, let me set up here. All right? Get a way to move that that product on free comic book day. And again, use it to convert it, to incentivize people to sign up for your newsletter or get them into the funnel to buy your product in the future. So It's not dead stock.
Right. No, it never is. You can always sell it. Trust me.
You can always sell it, but there's always, you've made your money on it, right? You're in the black on that product. All right, find another way to convert it.
Yeah. Well, I'm always about just selling more.
No, and I understand that. Trust me, I want to squeeze every last juice out of the orange. Would you? But at a certain point, there is that the law of diminishing returns.
Right.
Right. And you already know. All right. Once I've exceeded the amount of money I'm willing to pay on the storage locker for this product, shit. Right. We come from retail, man.
Yeah.
We know about moving all that stuff. So we got to take that and we got to apply that to what we're doing in the independent comics scene.
I don't. You got a lot. I got a house, so I got a basement. So
I got an apartment.
Yeah, I know that's the rough part. True. When you got an apartment, you got to get like a 2-bedroom, just 1 bedroom with your locker.
No, old furniture is elevated.
Oh, gotcha. This is true.
Everything is sitting on cases, baby.
Carlos Rafael says, so far my product has been subsidized by crowdfunding, so it's not about breaking even, but post crowdfunding printing, so it's not a break even. I consider that part of the promotional fund. There you go. Miss Nita says, wow.
Okay.
Oh,
look at that. Yes, Joe, I am back, Joe.
Yes.
I have returned.
Your shit is on HP Envy.
He's just printed off all that pirate site web comic book. So
there you go.
Listen, that's why I'm drinking, because I'm printing on HP Envy. Yes.
Oh wow.
My Staples rewards numbers are through the fucking roof with
oh look at this.
all the ink that But
tell him there's overhead because of that offset printing.
Okay.
He said the mystery box is a big seller for my business partner Rodney, Iron Gate Comics at conventions. This is their best seller.
Damn right, man. Damn fucking right.
Here we go. JD is talking depreciation now on product, which makes sense. But not everyone is set up to take that loss like that. This is why you want to go LLC or Corp. Right there, of course. There you go. All right, Mr. Rosario, you're up. What's your question, sir?
I got a couple questions. Some things were brought up just by our conversation alone. But let's start off with, how organized are you? Right? We were talking about how many fires that we have burning in the background. Do you got an Excel sheet with all your stuff going, and at the different levels, the different stages that it is at, between work, payouts, and when you expect to have it done? Or are you freewheeling it? I was going to say freeballing it. Are you freewheeling it? Excuse me. And you're doing whatever comes next on the fucking list, and trying to put out fires wherever that. Are you organized, or is it all over the fucking place when it comes to you producing multiple projects?
All right, Mr. Ruben, you're up.
I'm pretty organized, man. I try to make sure that everything is in a certain order, just because there's only so much time. I mean, I listened to a guru, and he makes a joke about like how he keeps petitioning for 4 more hours a day, but nobody wants to give it to him. just because, you know, there's so much to do. So I think I've found that I'm my most productive when I am organized, when I know that, you know, when I know that target that I have to hit. So I'm also really at my best when there's a deadline and things like that. So I love to write under pressure, and I love coming up with new ideas to kind of unpack at the moment. It just kind of, it's always been that way. So, but yeah, my girl's a virtual assistant too. So that it's like her job. She keeps track of like 30 life coaches and all of their, so she's always on top of me in terms of like, do you got your meeting schedule? She was the one today that was like 7:30 tonight, you know, so it's a little bit of both, you know, it's a little bit of my just obsessive compulsive disorder in terms of wanting to work and wanting to be on task. And then a lot of help from the fiance in terms of just keeping me pointed in the right direction. But yeah, and it helps with work, you know, at the end of the day, somebody asked a question in one of those Facebook comic groups, and they were asking like, how often do you write an outline or you know, a treatment of what you're going to go, you know, the script that you're going to go write. And I'm like, when do you not? You know what I'm saying? Like it was like, for me, it was such a weird question, because without a roadmap or a setup for me, I think, you know, you're kind of just really staring at a blank page, really like literally staring at a blank page. So I don't know. For me, it's best to be planned and organized. But you know, other people have different methods. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Marvin, what do you got?
I got organized and unfocused chaos when I do things.
Nice.
So I do have a list of items, but I don't just stick to one thing. So I'm at 1, I'm at 8, back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, add a 9, then 10, 10A, 10B, 10C. So I mean, there's a list, but man, I'm not sticking to it. I'm just all over the place. I'm like, so I've got an idea for this one, so I'm on this one again, and I get like Mark. He doesn't really complain, but he makes comments like, he's like, so you have a script for me? I was like, yeah, but it's another issue. It's like, okay, so we're working on issue 12, right? Nope, we're on to another one shot now. 4 pages of this one, and then we're back on the other one again. There's 4 more pages of this one because I had an idea that was working for me.
Yeah.
Organized is what I call it. It's organized. There's a list, but it's very chaotic.
All right, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Cool. Mr. Lanning, what do you got?
It depends on the day. like maybe this week I'll be organized. Next week, I try to make a list for myself every day to get you know, items done on that list. And then, but I forgot to put on that list was to actually look at that list, and then to make the next list. So, but it kind of comes. It kind of comes in spurts. Unless if I'm working with somebody, that's not a problem. That's what I'm going to buckle down and do to get it out. But if it's just me, I was able to get some work done for the show yesterday, so I've got like 3 shows lined up and the work's done for those, but I don't always have productive days like that. So I'm like neutral order. it's like neutral chaotic, maybe something like that. So.
Gotcha. All right, well, for myself, there's a list. I check it twice and I work on it consistently. That's pretty much what I do. It's just I get stuff done. But,
oh my God.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. Because you know, it's like I have most of it is in my head and I just work on it as I go. Sometimes I'll write it down. If it's really hectic, I have to write it down. And it's a long ass list and I check shit off as I go. But a lot of the times it's like Marvin, I'm doing 1 and then 15 and then 7 and then 2 and then so on and so forth. I just finished my campaign, right? And I was like, you know what? Before I send it to the printer, let me go check on this book. Let me go reread it. I'm going to do another pass. That's just how I am. I like doing as many passes as I can before I go it. So this is what I did today. Those are my Post-it notes for my latest pass on this, which I got to send to the printer the next week. So, you know, so this is going to be me for the next 2 days.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like for me, it's always just consistently working. You know, it's never a thing of like I'll sit down for 2 or 3 hours and it's just work. I come home from work, I sit down with the wife for an hour, chew my food while I talk to her, and maybe watch a little TV, and then it's downstairs and it's just to the station, and you're just doing whatever you got to do, you know. So, and you just got to do this shit every day, and it's got to keep going and going and going. And a lot of people call it the grind, but it's my fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's the stuff that this is the stuff that I enjoy. I go to work every day. Trust me. I love my coworkers. You know, the customers we deal with are nice, but if I could live without that, you know, if they called me up tomorrow and said you don't have to come in ever again, I'd be like, okay, no problem, thank you. You know, and if I could just do this is all. I would be happy just doing this. You know, so
amen to that.
Nice.
Mhm.
Seriously.
Nice. All right. Well, as for me, I am that guy that says I'll be there in 5 minutes, and I haven't even jumped in the shower yet.
Oh, that's so hard to believe. No,
I got out 2 minutes. I got into the door 2 minutes before the show started. I mean, come on. I'd like to say I'm like Marvin. You know, where there's organized chaos, right? There's a list, but I don't even have time to write the list. It's like
up here, that's all.
Whatever's
There's a list somewhere.
You know, I got an editor, who she is. You know, the other women in my life that keeps me in check, right? She is. There's 4 women that can shut me down. My wife, my mother, my sister, my editor. That's it. Those 4 women. Yes, ma'am. Right? I just shut up, and it's whatever the editor. Okay, you got to have this come up, right? That's why she's on the hook, man, to keep you in line. So yes, like Ruben, you know, it's not a virtual assistant, but somebody does keep me in line. But yeah, I'm all over the place. But it's so much more exciting like that, right? How many times do you plan? Okay, I need to write at least 10 pages today, and then you sit down and you're there, and you're in front of the screen for 2 hours, and you're still fretting on whether to use the words what, who, or where on the second line of the first paragraph of the fucking story. You know what I mean? There goes your whole 2 hours that you had allocated for this. So it's like, you know, if I don't know what's coming next, I'm that much more excited to work on.
Can I give you a small piece of advice that might get you past that? Okay. 1, never set yourself up to write 10 pages. Just say, I'm going to write today for X amount of time.
Okay.
Right?
Well, yeah.
2, get away from your computer. Right? Get yourself a book and handwrite it. And the reason I tell you that is because every time you sit down at a computer, you'll sit there and you'll start self-editing that line. Right? You'll write a line and you be like, that line is bullshit. And then you start rewriting it. Right? You start rethinking it. When you write it down on paper, you tend not to do that. You tend to write it and just move.
Gotcha.
Because you have no backspaces. You can't erase it easily.
Understand. Yes, I hear you.
Right. So then you just write it by hand. And then when you go in and you type it in, because you're going to have to do that, don't scan it and don't use a little fancy. Type that shit in yourself. And then that way, that gives you an extra level of edit. So you can go in and refine it even further. It works for me. I mean,
I hear you. I hear you. I'm with you on that. But more than half the time, I lose the fucking book. I don't know where I placed it because I get called off to do something else.
Wow.
That's
okay.
one that happens. I mean, that happens, dude. Sometimes I leave it in the fucking car. You know, I pick up my wife at work, and you know, it's this bad boy, right? And it's like, Siri, take a note. XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. And then when I get home, I try to collate that stuff. That's 1. 2, the reason why I say 10 pages is because I wrote the first 10 pages. I wrote the last 10 pages. I got to find a way to fucking marry those 10 pages, okay, with 10 more pages in a 30 to 32 page book. Hopefully 10 or less, because that's extra dough. All right. So that's why I said 10 fucking pages, because that's where I'm fucking stuck at right now. I know how to get to Act 1. I know where the fuck Act 3 starts. How the hell does Act 2 and Act 3 marry? And forget it. I was going to start going down a rabbit hole in writing, but it's like, you know, where do you draw the line between being a realist, knowing, okay, I'm writing in this environment, and I know, well, the only way to get to this place, to that place, is you got to go 2 blocks down this way, you got to make a fucking left, and then you got to go down the block another 3 more blocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you're like, all of that shit ain't gonna fit, you know, in a couple panel beats.
Right.
So do you edit that out, right? Do you say, okay, do you toss that out and say, well, that's not going to serve the purpose of the story, so this guy's just going to fall out the window on the 2nd floor of the back of the building and end up on the block that he needs to really be on?
Okay.
See, Ruben is shaking his head because he understands, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
where the fuck do you draw the line or something like that?
Yeah, no. At the end of the day, it's moments. You know, very early on when I started writing comics, somebody approached me to adapt a screenplay into a comic book, and the writer was like, you know, super anal about like everything that's in the script needed to be in the comic, and I'm like, listen, I've watched movies. I'm a film buff. I write scripts myself. I'm not saying I'm your kind of, you know, I didn't want to, you know, play egos with him, but I'm like, I get it. You know, you've done stuff. This is, you know, you're shopping this script. It's your baby. You want things to be important, but I need you to understand, like comic books, you can't squeeze all of that in there like that. You can't throw it all in there. You got to find moments, and you got to find the things that you really want to focus on. And sometimes, like Rosario was saying, you want that big chase down the 3 blocks. You want the whole big parkour, but it's a lot easier to just toss him out the fucking window and have him roll onto the block that he needs to be on, so that he can get to the next page, so that it all comes together. So it's a balancing act, right? That we do as writers. We kind of pick and choose what moments are important, especially with comics. You know, I found myself doing it with the last issue of The Illusion Witch. I said, you know what? I can do this for 6 issues. I could do, you know, the same series, 6 issues, but 5 is going to feel like a filler episode because literally 4 and 6 are where it's going to happen. You know, like those are the emotion. That's where the emotion's at. So 5 is a lot larger and a lot longer than the first 4 issues. Only about, I think about 12 pages longer. But those 12 pages allow me to get to what's important, right, of that story. So yeah, man, I get it. You know, and with scripts, and I'm sure you know this, it's a little easier. Screenplays, we've got 90, 95 pages, and even then we know everybody talks about a minute a page, but we know that's bullshit. At the end of the day, it's how that's going to film on camera and how we want to look at it. So again, it's just different ways of approaching it.
Yeah, it's funny you bring it up screen adaptations, because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about Walter Simonson, right? Calderon, you know who he is for you, right? And he adapted Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and there was a scene in the movie where Richard Dreyfuss, something with gas masks, right? And it was a 1-minute sequence in the film, and it was like, that doesn't translate into comic pages. So that whole 1-minute sequence was 2 panels in Walt's adaptation of Close Encounter of the Third Kind, right?
Right.
But he was able to make that work. Us, because we're self-editing, we're like, what are we willing to give up? We're willing to put a little bit more into.
Right.
Yeah. Same thing as even if you have to adapt prose, because sometimes I'll write a story in prose first, and then I'll reverse engineer it into comics. And you know, I'll have a page or 2 of just thought, right? Or half a page of thought, which isn't that big a deal in a prose story, but in a comic book, that could translate to 10 pages.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, okay, yeah, we gotta cut this out. You know, let's not put that in there. You know, but so sometimes you have to be very careful when you adapt to your works or another person's work. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I'll never do it again. Not that the experience was bad. I just like I understand what it feels like to have a baby, right? Like it was yours, and then to give it up. I did it like you, JD. I reversed engineered it. I did the agency, but I didn't dare write the prose novel. I went ahead and I got an author who I trusted, who has, you know, experience writing. He's been writing YA for a long time, and we met at a convention, and you know, he was just excited to play inside the sandbox of the agency, and we sat down, and you know, he even brought in other layers that I didn't think of that we were able to marry inside the novel that ended up working, but I will never do that again. Like, not even paid. I don't think. Like, you have to pay me a lot of money, just because
Right.
having the other. It's like having it's like Rosario. It's like you telling me, hey, yo, here's my comic. Write a novel write a screenplay for it. You're gonna be over my shoulder. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna give it to me. You're telling me to write it, but it's really your baby. You know what I'm saying? So
let me roll this back a second. You get paid for your shit?
Man, you know what? As of late, I can't lie. I don't know why people are doing it, but I'm getting a bunch of work for hire stuff. So it's really weird. It's really weird.
What's the number or your agent's email? Because I can't even myself. But
it's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. Like that's another level of the game that I think also doesn't get a lot of burn in terms of conversation and how to kind of open that avenue up for yourself, and for me, like, it wasn't even through the agent, because we just got them through November. Like, the comics grind, it was just people that were backing the book and then reading the book and then coming back and saying, like, hey, I've got this idea. Have you ever thought about writing somebody else's idea? So then it just became about negotiations and, co-creator. Am I, work for hire? What is it? So I've been lucky. I'm also doing like weird stuff too. Like, some staffing agency just hired me to do a whole, like a 14-page comic book on the referral nurse program. So I had to like create a story around nurses and how their referral program is going to better their lives. So it was, like, definitely not my bag, but listen, they paid me. So,
nice.
and they paid the art team. So that made my art team happy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And those jobs tend to pay better.
You're telling me.
What's that referral service?
Yeah,
All
right.
right. This is from Carlos. My organization has happened in the last year. Before then, I was very disorganized. I have a digital organizer now. Plus, I never stare at a blank page because I take copious notes. I'm consistently cross-referencing notes from mass digital and physical notebooks. So there you go. Carlos is hard at work. Nice. Keep that up, Carlos. Mr. Lanning, you're up, sir. What do you got?
All right. Since I got picked on about my hat earlier.
Hey, listen,
So,
bro.
This
Wait, you got picked on?
Want to show everybody your hat?
All right, fine. See, look, I was told this is Indy Comics, so I can't have the Marvel hat.
Fuck that! I got a Yankee hat, man. Wear that shit.
Yeah, but you can still write independent.
Wear it. So what? I got a Mandalorian T-shirt on. Who fucking cares?
He does. He fucked at me. He doesn't care. He said, "This is Indy Comic. Get that shit out of here." So I said, "Fine." That's pretty real.
Wait. Are you talking about that guy in the other fucking corner of the screen?
Yeah, that guy.
Fucking guy. Get the fuck out of here.
Hold on.
I got your boycott right freaking here.
Hold on. Some people sometimes forget they can be disappeared.
Hey, look, I look at it like this.
You're lucky I didn't have enough time to pull the nipple out. I was gonna have to come back to a fucking nipple on the goddamn screen. He would have went up. I'll tell you right.
This is true.
Look, I'm just gonna say this: if people want you to take your shoes off before you come into the house, so you don't drag dog shit in, I'll take it off, no problem. But
Okay.
And let me tell you, I like the hat, but that's a lot of dog shit.
This?
no.
It's the New York Yankees. Shut up.
Anyway, so
I should have said the Mets. I'm sorry.
You're a Met fan, aren't you?
No, I don't give a fuck about baseball. How about that?
You love minor league baseball.
Oh, it'd be bad if he said Dodgers. So. Anyway, so despite it probably never fully happening, what would the landscape of comics look like if Marvel and DC closed shop?
Nice.
What do you think we would be looking at?
I think I think Marvin was next.
All right.
I think you're looking at the total complete implosion of the comic book entire industry. It would be like a nuke hitting, and then people walking around in darkness until someone finds a better path. I mean, so what do you do with those characters then? So you're saying that those characters are off limits, or would those characters be spread out amongst whomever could pony up the money to get them?
let's say that's probably will be the chances of somebody like Discovery or Disney trying to make their money back from those characters by just putting them out there and licensing them.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, just walk into a comic shop and you'll see that most of their orders are Marvel and DC. Even the books don't sell. They still order them. Like there's a comic shop here in Pittsburgh that has a whole entire rack of unsold Marvel and DC books from maybe the past 3 or 4 years for $1. So I mean, it's so weird to see people pony up that money and throw it in there. Because of one of our shops here decided they're no longer doing new books except for our stuff. So they've like washed out their distributor license. I mean, distributor costs and everything else. He's not ordering any more books because they don't sell. No one's coming in there looking for anything unless it's a key. No one cares about the continuing adventures of Spider-Man and Batman and all these things unless there's something that's being publicized that something's happening. New characters being introduced or some special event is happening. Like I would think that I think X-Men's getting ready to do another one of their Hellfire galas, and I read an article where Moira McTaggart was infected with the techno-organic virus. She's now a robot. So
I heard something about that. Yeah.
So she goes and attacks Mary Jane Watson and says she's going to wear Mary Jane Watson to the party. What does that mean exactly? Is she going to like skin her?
Yes.
Is she going to infect her with the techno-organic virus? I mean, even if she kills her, she's not going to stay dead. So then all it is going to be a selling point later on, the return of Mary Jane Watson to whom, whatever. So that's where people are going to be. Oh, go ahead.
Well, no, from what I understand from that point is I think Spider-Man is supposed to blow up the X-Men. Supposed to blow up the island that the mutants are on.
Oh, okay.
From what I heard this morning. So
okay. Well,
that's what's going. That's the next big event.
I mean, so people will show up for that kind of stuff, but like for that, like you'll have your readers who are into the indie books, but your average person is coming into that store to buy a Marvel and DC book. So the whole entire landscape of comic stores, Amazon, Barnes and Nobles changes overnight if Marvel and DC no longer exist, because no one is going to, like, you're not going to get that. And it's not even that many people anymore, really, is it? Are going to go to a shop and say, hey, give me The Edge, or hey, give me any of other titles that we're talking about, Losing Witch, whatever it is anyone walking in there in large numbers saying, I want that indie book? And if you eliminate Marvel and DC, we're going to start doing it. And I don't think it'll happen. It'll take time to build up those relationships back up, and most of those stores will go under.
Ruben, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely changes the landscape. I mean, do comics start coming out, stop coming out? I don't think so. I mean, if Marvel and DC closed up shop, those characters would be, up for licensing, right? So that means somebody's putting out books. Somebody's going to take advantage of being able to put out an Iron Man book or a Captain America book or whatever it is that they might be able to get their hands on. If it just goes away completely, if that was the world that we were in, if we woke up tomorrow, Marvel and DC were gone, well, I think we live in a world where everybody's rabid for content. So right now, to Marvin's point, no, I don't think you're right. I don't think nobody's running out and, ordering The Edge or the Illusion Witch in the thousands. We want them to, but they're not doing it, not yet anyway. But there are books and there are things. There are other indie publishers that have that reach, that have been able to make, like Something Is Killing the Children. Like even the trades of that book. Like you look at Whatnots and you look at all these other resellers and key speckers. They're even the trades themselves are making money. And the more notoriety that these smaller books that are coming from these larger semi-larger indie publishers, that the more notoriety they get in terms of TV shows, movies based, no matter how good or no matter how bad they may be, they're still shedding light on the indie community. And I think you even go back to like things like Tom Hanks's movie Road to Perdition. Nobody knew that movie was a graphic novel. Everybody that I tell, everybody that I bring that movie up to, and they're like, "Oh, I love that movie." I'm like, "That movie's based on a graphic novel." They're like, "Really?" Like they've got no clue, right? So it's
Red or Men in Black
or Red, you know. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where I think you're right, Marvin. I think a bulk of the businesses go out because that's where Marvel and DC's their bread and butter. But you've got a lot of these kitschy bookstores and things like that are now, you know, half coffee shops, half, you know, comic book shops, bookstore, that's all they focus on. They love the indie stuff. I mean, I'm here in Tampa, there's like 2 or 3 of them. You know, they carry novels, graphic novels, manga, and comic books. And, you know, they're not doing a lot of the new stuff, but they do order out of Diamond, you know. So if you go in there and you tell them, "Yo, get my book," they're going to do it. You know, so it's one of those things where I think it's like you said, there'll be a drop off, but there's also going to be a pick back up because we're a society that all we want is the new, right? Like we want more. So of course, you know, eventually, if people aren't taking advantage of putting out those superhero books that have 80 years plus of legacy, then guys like us are going to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like then eventually we're going to eat. You know, yeah, I'm not going to say it happens overnight, but the believe you me, listen, even my manager the other day was like, "You guys doing anything superhero, comic booky?" You know, because me and Casey, even though we're comic book writers, that's not our bread and butter. You know, we're like, "No, we don't have anything like that." He was like, "Oh, okay."
That's my butter. Yeah.
Hey.
We're right here. Tell him if he's looking. Don't worry. We got loads of fucking superhero content. All right, years.
We'll give you the link. I'll give you the link. We'll talk off camera.
Right.
We'll talk off camera. I'll give you who you got to reach out to.
Right? You got 18 issues in your run so far?
No, I wish.
No,
man.
Marvin. I'm sorry, Marvin.
Oh, Marvin. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You got 18 issues in your run so far, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I've got 4 different superhero series. You know, so yeah, we're out there. But to go on with C. Michael, it's like, and what you guys said earlier, yeah, there will be an implosion, right? But how many stores do we go into on a regular basis and we see almost 50% of their stores made up of manga and pops, right? So they're going to find a way to survive. And during the pandemic, a lot of these shops were living off the back issues. It was like a resurrection of the back issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you guys. You know, we're going to eat, but it's going to be an uphill battle. And I mean, the thing is, if you know, they start licensing out this products, you know, the smaller people want to take a bite of that apple. What they need to understand is, I think first and foremost, is the term loss leader should be reorganized into keeping the product relevant, right? And it's like, that's one of the things that Viacom figured out with the Turtles. And every 5 years when they refresh the line, right, they still have those issues going, be it licensed by IDW or anybody else, right, to keep that relevant for the fans that are being phased out of this shift, right, to keep them buying into that product. And hopefully they'll come back into the fold sooner or later. So books are still going to get out there. Trades are still huge, right? If anything, we would shift our thinking from individual issues, periodicals, floppies, whatever, single issue comics, right, to a full trade, and try to push into more bookstores than anywhere else. All right, that's my idea.
Gotcha. All right. For myself, yeah, I mean, listen, I agree with you guys. I think, you know, the entire marketplace would be thrown into chaos. And indies make up about 30% of the marketplace. So, in all truth, that's probably all that would survive, I think, of the direct market. Will probably be about 30%.
Okay.
Eventually, there would be a pickup, but it just depends on how healthy the market, you know, on how healthy and how much product can be put out and put out reasonably. Like I said, I started in 92. We had 13, 14 distributors. You could sell as an indie 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 books, even more, if you really hustled it, you know, and you were able back then to relist your prior issues, which Diamond has never been into. Even when they were just part of those 13, they hated relisting books.
Right? Well, Diamond would be gone. Diamond is done, right? I mean, they're trying to shift. They're trying to shift, but you look at their catalogs, right? And maybe it's only the last 15 to 20% is product that's not comic books. Right? Penguin Random House is going to survive.
Yeah.
And TCBS, whatever, Lunar, because they've got stock trades, they're going to be able to move those trades into the book market. So they're going to be able to find a way to keep a foothold.
Mm-hmm. So what are you going to say? What are you going to say, Michael?
Well, no. So see, I actually think that would save Diamond. And
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because now you have to look at, we got to look at superheroes outside of DC and Marvel who have been around and have a name. You still have Spawn. You still have Savage Dragon. So Diamond Distributors is putting out, has asked Image to put out 3 times what they were putting out before.
Okay.
So then you also have to take into consideration, where do the creators, the artists, and the writers from Marvel and DC go? They're going to go to indies. And so, yeah, indies are going to sell, but it's still going to be hard for you because you haven't been around in the Marvel and the DC. Because for the normies, Marvel and DC, they hear you, oh, you're a Marvel and DC artist, you're the real thing.
You
So
said
then
artists, not writers, bro. Right?
No, but they're doing the same thing with writers. James Tynion.
Writers need the machine. How many writers that are not part of that top 10, that Substack, that Zoom, whatever new platform is coming out, right? How many of those need the machine to push them, right? So they would come back down to our level and have to figure out what we have already figured out.
Well, see, here's the bad thing about that is, though, because some of them that are those top 10 Marvel writers are also on indies, too. Look at Donnie Cates.
Yeah.
You have Marvel and you have Crossover.
Okay.
Scotty Young, the same thing. You know, so
he just did a wonderful book. He just did a great book too, an indie book. Scotty Young did.
Something in the dark, not afraid of the dark, or something like that.
The me you love in the dark.
Scotty's got, you know, his whole web store is keeping him and his team alive.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Snyder. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it's like he doesn't need the machine. You know, he went to Comixology, and Comixology was like, yeah, we're gonna do these exclusive books with you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they've gained that notoriety. It's like Michael's saying, like the top 10 leave and they come to indie. You're still fighting that uphill battle because those guys have the longevity, right?
I'm going to give you something that I think will actually level the playing field with that, though, because I'm kind of coming back on what I said. They're also going to Substack. And Substack, it looks like you have to get a subscription to each individual artist.
Right.
I think that's a mistake. And when I say artist, I mean writer and everything. I think that's a mistake because it's a lot easier to pay $4 a book per month on something physical than to pay $8 a month on something. Yeah, you might get content, but you're not holding it in your hand. And the moment that you're not paying that subscription the next month, you lose all of it. So it doesn't hold. So there is still hope there. But well,
if I could capitalize on just saying to you, Michael, Brian Hibbs, very vocal retailer out of San Francisco, recently came out and said 80% of the comic book industry is still physical. Sales are still right in the.
I believe that. Yeah.
Right. And this is something he spoke about, I think, 2 months ago. So yeah. And then on top of that, I don't know if it was Marvel or DC that says they don't even register digital numbers when they start to put together their budgets. I don't remember which one of the big two, but I know they were talking about it on the Publishers Weekly podcast, and it's like okay,
right,
so, yeah, right. Substack is those grants are almost up. We'll see what's going to happen with those guys come August.
Right, but I will say this: as far as I think you're right that the comic book shops are going to have to pivot. Of course, they're doing their toys, absolutely. But you said that one of the magic words in there is manga. Yeah, and that's the thing is, those are leaking into comic book shops. They're not as big in comic book shops to say you go to Barnes and Noble. The Barnes and Noble here cleared out their video section, and it is nothing but manga now.
Yeah,
so I think
we brought a manga, and everybody's talking about how manga is this whole big trend, right? But it's just 90s image, titties, and violence. That's what
Isn't that amazing?
Not all of that.
14-year-olds, and I get it. It's either that or slice of life romance, LGBT books, right? But whatever, there's still sex in that, right? And sex is action.
How do you explain Dogman?
That's different. That's
See, not all of a sudden it's different. No,
because, all right. Let's talk about
no, I got you.
All right, we're in Manhattan. You guys, I don't know how well you know Manhattan, but one of the biggest comic chains is Midtown Comics, and you will see Dogman on those shelves, right?
Yep.
Cross the borough lines, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx, and you find the mom and pop shops. You're not going to find Dogman on those shelves.
No, but there are indie booksellers that do have those books.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
because they got a Scholastic account. But okay.
Probably. All right, hold on. Let's go through some of these. Matt Campbell art. Indie titles are outselling Marvel and DC titles at Barnes and Nobles right now.
Really?
Wow.
Tell me. I hope. I want to see those numbers.
From Mr. Joe D. McPhee. If Marvel and DC close up shop, then it would be the Wild West as far as getting people's attention. It would hurt LCSs and distributors more than creators. It would open people's eyes to what's new.
Yeah, that's
Mr. Raphael. Comic shops survive via card play and pops, card game, tournaments, and sales. Comics are the stepchild currently. There are a lot of stores like that.
Right. Well, that's the one store I was talking about. They're closing. They're, like I said, they're not going to order any new books from Diamond, Lunar, etc. And they're going to shift to gaming because they have people coming in playing games. No one's coming in there sitting down reading comics. They're not having comic reading parties. They're having game tournaments and things like that.
Right. Mm-hmm. No.
But
says Mr. Ruff again, he says you got to have product to sell to the book market. This would only improve the outlook of the indie because Lunar and Penguin would need product. DC and Marvel go away. They still need content. Enter indie.
Yeah, it could be.
But I think what the problem with that is that if most of these shops are living off of Marvel and DC sales, how many stores are you going to lose along?
That's the bad thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way I said that is that new stores are popping up now, but you still lost a bunch of stores during COVID.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know if it's evened out or not. How many stores do you think you would lose if they couldn't order Marvel and DC books? Like half?
Yeah.
I would say half. Half is a good estimate, I think.
How many didn't have backstock and the inventory to move during that?
Yeah.
Day?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I think. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, no, I'm just saying because he said something about the card games, but I'm gonna tell you what happened here as far as the COVID. I have two comic book shops, like 3 or 4 card game shops, and those card game shops buckled and folded because once there's a pandemic, you can't have card games. Yeah. But but one thing that these new comic book shops do offer alongside that is the card game. So instead of trying to make it to where we're going to drop comics and we're just going to do cards, they need to make sure that they concentrate on both of them. Because what kills me about one comic book shop here is they have their tournament section in a different area than where the comics are. And I feel like that's bad marketing. Mm-hmm. If somebody goes out on the card game, on Magic or whatever the case is, they don't want to go home or whatever. You still have stuff there that they can look at. It's just, I think it can coexist rather nicely, actually.
And the thing is, though, is if they stack up an area with comics, are they giving them Marvel and DC comics, or are they giving them Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy comics where stuff they may be more interested in?
Good point. Yeah.
Because that's one of the things that Midtown is really good at. Is when a new Marvel or any of these movies come out, they have a rack. And they'll just load it up with everything. If it's going to be Doctor Strange, you're going to see a huge rack of just trades, all Doctor Strange. So as soon as you walk in and you don't know anything, you just walked in off that movie, you're going to go right to that rack and you're going to start buying books.
Look, I'm going to tell you, today we went looking. My daughter, my youngest, is interested in Sonic. Oh my gosh, I've seen this movie twice already, please. Anyway, we went into the comic book shop looking for a Sonic comic book. There was none. Wow. Not even in the back stock. He said they had just sold out of everything Sonic. Not one person, a whole bunch of people coming in there. They've got more coming in Wednesday there's going to be another release. So yeah, I've been hearing that because a movie comes out doesn't mean that it sells. I guess it just depends on the movie. Really.
100%.
Right. And I mean, I think
Or
like how things are pushed too is like I said before is that those comic shops should be posted up in the movie theater when people come out of that theater because they just saw the movie. I'm ready to spend some money on something. I mean, it's the same thing as when you're in a grocery store and you're standing in line trying to check out. What do you have around you? Like the quick buy stuff, magazines and candy. And
but
things like
is it on?
Hold on, Marvin. Are you proposing a book fair kind of setup in the lobby of the movie theater? Because I think that is fucking brilliant.
But that's actually happened before.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That happened before, and they said they did not sell one comic book.
That's interesting. See, but now I think it's different. Like we gotta think about the way MCU, right? Just the way the MCU has changed landscape, right? Again, not the books aren't flying off the shelves, things like that. But you have people like Rosario, like JD was talking about. They leave the movie, and all of a sudden they're interested. Now they're interested, so they go into a comic book store. And they're like, oh, why didn't I do this when I was 12 years old? But then they're 30 something. They don't know which way to go. Places like Midtown, things like what Marvin is proposing, those kind of situations kind of fuel the comic book buyer, right? Like people get addicted to stuff, man. Like, it was crazy. Like I went nuts on like little Funko Pops for like a year and a half straight. Why? Because they just interested me all of a sudden, right? So it's one of those things where it's like if comic book stores and publishers were a little bit more savvy, I think you would see more stuff like this, and you would get more rabid readers. More. Well,
if you're a comic book store, if you're a comic book shop, why don't you have somebody, posted outside the theater with flyers directing people to the shop?
That's the same thing. Like with coupons, like a 10%, 15% off coupon.
Yeah, bring your ticket in, you can get a discount on it, something like that.
Yeah, right.
Well, I have a theater up here not far from me in Astoria, right? Every time a Marvel or DC movie comes out, there's a guy always out there with just a table set up on the weekend, and he's selling comics. He's not necessarily selling, whatever, but he's just out there, and he tends to sell premium books, and it seems he's doing good business out there. I haven't spoken to him, but I should probably stop and talk to the guy.
You see, that might be a good point too. Instead of just trying, because the one that I was talking about, they were just like it's Iron Man or something. And so all they were doing was selling Iron Man. I wonder if you started to add a percentage or a variety, if that would actually intrigue people more so to stop.
Right. I mean, and it's not just the comics, it's the merchandise too. Like where are your Captain Marvel backpacks, your shoes, your plushies, your action figures. Like all that stuff should be available in some kind of gift shop in the theater. If somebody's coming to that theater, I guarantee you, I want more. What I want, I got money to spend. Yeah, you're not giving me anything to spend it on. Like you want.
I want a Marvin movie theater. You need to,
yeah.
Well,
write that on the list. It doesn't have to be at the top. You said it's all over the place. Just put it somewhere.
I wonder what the statistics are on that though. Of an adult going in, seeing a movie like say Endgame, Iron Man, something that's a little more, or even this new Batman, for instance, versus. And going to a comic book store because they watched this Batman movie and they really like this Batman movie versus superhero movies geared towards kids, which is going to get the parents to take the kid who's really interested and involved in it. That's the thing.
I got it. Here it is. You hear it here?
Right here, right now.
Okay. Instead of an ice cream truck rolling up to the fucking theater, it's a big box bookstore fucking truck rolling up to the theater with the images of everything they got right there in the front, so you don't got to worry about, is this a scary bus that we can't go into? They're the images. Instead of the ice cream bars, you got the images of all the books, and you got the images of all the pops, instead of the sodas and the ketchup and the mustard bottle right there in the lower shelf. Boom. And instead of the jingly Mr. Softy music, you're playing the theme song to the Marvel intro. Bob. That's it. Pay me my fucking money.
And the funny thing about that is the guy I'm talking about who owns this comic shop that pretty much he wanted to do that. He wanted to have he was going to buy an ice cream truck, like say ice cream truck or a mail truck, and drive it around the city in Hey Kids Comics in the neighborhoods, just Hey Kids Comics. pull up to the movie theater when they're coming out of the movie theater. Hey Kids Comics. We were actually going to post up and do a convention at a drive-in before the movie.
Nice.
So I mean, we've got all these ideas. We just have to get them to flourish and get these, not just all these movie theaters to get involved in it, because it's money for them too, and they don't have, and then it doesn't cost them anything except for space.
We have a couple of large movie theaters out here in Manhattan. There's like these 24 plexes up on the 42nd Street.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, Rosario. A couple of years ago, there was a guy. He held a couple of conventions at one of those places.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
remember how well they did, but I remember he did them.
You know,
I was-
one of the guys that ran it
Mhm.
was Timac. You know him as Bruce Leroy, the Last Dragon.
Oh, okay.
It's set up in one of those theaters convention.
Yeah, I saw he was at Big Apple one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, he was there.
Mhm.
Sounding it's gonna always weird me out that guy did nothing in his career. He did like 2 movies in a different world. He had that look. What did he do? He had to do something. Somebody didn't like him or
He was
something.
making money with his he had, I think, 3 or 4 different schools.
Yeah.
So he's bringing money in through that, man.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
dude, this guy had that look. I'm like, why was he needing more stuff? Like,
Mhm.
it's weird.
When I ran the convention the last month before the pandemic in Brooklyn, he was one of our guests at the con.
Oh, nice.
He's cool. He's cool. Like, he's a
Nice
nice
dude.
guy and everything. Yeah, but
Mhm.
Hollywood took a dump on him.
Yeah.
All right, let me run through some of these. Carlos says coexisting is the way to survive.
Yes, sir.
Jing Jing says hello.
What up?
Carlos says I agree. Cater comics to those fantasy card players, to those who play action adventure card games. Cater to them too, right? Don't separate them. There you go. Mr. Joe says, is it really about LCS stop believing in the distributors like Diamond who say they know best and then pivoting to exposing the clients to more independent books?
Can we stop on that one real quick?
Go ahead.
So that's that, and I think that's where Diamond is going now. I think that they're backed into a corner. They don't have a choice. You've seen that a lot of indie books have been picked up by Diamond for distribution, but how big is their presence in that catalog? I mean, that catalog it's a phone book. So even when I'm like pitching, I called all these stores and let them know the book was in there. Most of them said, "Yeah, I would have skipped it. I would have missed it if you wouldn't have said anything." So I mean, even if just being in the catalog is the door is ajar, you still have to push it open. You can't sit back and just wait for Diamond to do those things for you. You have to do it yourself.
Right.
All right, so hold on. Sorry about that, guys. I got to. Then we also have Nita here. She says, "Damn, yo, we need comic book vending machines outside of movie theaters." There you go.
Yes.
Japan has comics vending machines with comic books in it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Good call on that.
Well, movie fans who like the MCU may not be readers. Period. Again, you can make assumptions that moviegoers read comics or anything. The goal is to make them transition to ad reading.
Roll back to that last
comic.
one a second. Roll back to the last one a second. Now we know who's the brains in that family over there.
Oh, wow. Thanks a lot. Yeah, all right. I see what
Damn.
Oh, so the gloves are off. Okay.
Throw them down.
That's it.
You know what? If she was, she would realize that there's actually comic book vending machines out there by Scout Comics, so it is a thing. So it's not like something that came up. Just let you know. So.
Nice.
You know who's sleeping on the couch tonight?
Yeah, don't let Rosario get you sleeping on the couch. Come on.
Seriously, man, don't let that happen, bro.
I'm already sleeping on the fucking couch tonight. Okay?
Well, that we figured. We could just tell just by looking at you. Anyway. Okay, yeah. So this is the treasures reading at a comp. I think what it is not so much. There's two with this particular thing here from Joe is that there's a couple of things. Sometimes it's not so much that they're not readers, but they have no exposure to the comics, especially younger readers, especially the kids. It's very hard. It's a comic book store, right? How close do you have a comic book store to your house? You know what I mean? And how are kids supposed to find them? Right. I mean, when I was a kid, I lived in Spanish Harlem. a couple of dudes who I met there who were comic heads, who were older than me. They took me to Super Snipe, and then and the 2 or 3 other comic book shops that were in the area. So it was about a mile away from my house. And when you're 10, that's like going. You just might as well be going to the moon, right?
Right.
So when you have kids like that, where I'm in New York, so it's easy, right? But if you have kids out in the middle of nowhere, like God knows where, I mean, anywhere you need to drive, they're not gonna. Their parents have to take them.
Right.
So it's really hard. So how are they getting that exposure? So I think that's
losing out on stand distribution hurt,
right.
And I'm not just talking about the the stands on the trains. I'm talking about the Barnes and Nobles. I'm talking about the 7-Eleven. I'm talking about the Wawas and the Wegmans and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and having that accessibility to books, whether it's independent, whether it's big 2 or not, just being able to have that accessibility keeps the entire genre going, right? Because you get them early. Sorry, it's going to sound like that an evil cliche, but if you hook them early, right, they're in there for life, man. And it's that that 7 through 10 age that's the most impressionable. That when you can grab them, you can lock that in. Man, they're going to be buying books for their kids.
Exactly. I mean, and it's easy to prove. There's 5 of those crackheads right here.
For real.
Yeah, right.
For real. For real.
Right. That's it.
Damn right.
Right.
So
I think we're going with the newsstand thing is that they that thing could be revitalized if the newsstands were more, or the newsstand distributors were more flexible with the way they deal with the creators.
I've heard a lot of different stories, and one of the big ones is that those distributors tend to be very, very old school.
Yes,
and they tend to be very, very corrupt. That's the big thing with them is like their numbers. You can listen to Peter Simeti. He tells some fascinating stories. He's like, I shipped 1,000 books to them, but I'm getting 1,500 returns. How is that even possible, right? So that's how either that, or you can just maybe not so much corrupt as their system is broken.
Yeah,
right. And they don't know how to fix it, or they're unwilling to fix it because it works for them.
Right. Well, that's what Diamond is learning now, that's you can't work that way. You have to progress with time. As time progresses, you have to progress. And if you don't, you stay stagnant, you die. And your newsstand distribution model is dying because most of your magazines are moving to a digital format. Like they're not even producing paper copies of books. So once those books are gone, then that's a market that's dead.
Look, if you could show those shops, even their bodegas, that they're making money, that they can make money, that they can make 50% margin on this, that they can make more than 52 cents on a book, they'll find a way to move it. And it's, I know this sounds like so far out of fucking left field. But JD, you and I both come from merchandising, right? It's really not that hard to have books in a poly bag and line them up on a clip strip like batteries. Off the potato chip rack, right? Yeah. Or on the side door of the fridge, right? It's not taking up space, and they can make a good 50% per unit. But trying to convince them to get it in there and get your payouts is the fucking pain in the ass. And when you're indie, that's just one more thing that you got to do that you don't have time for.
So what I'm looking at now as a market there is dollar stores.
Okay.
So Dollar General, Dollar Trees, things like that. Like I'm in bed with their distributor and just trying to work out the numbers.
Okay.
So that's a new avenue that I don't think anyone has touched yet. I don't see comics in Dollar General. Like I see them in Ollie's. Like they have those comic packs and they have trades and things like that in Ollie's. But I think that is a untapped market for indies too. Is put a pack together, send it to Ollie's and through their distribution network. So all these things are popping up, and it's just a matter of us being able to try them and see what works.
Yeah, I agree.
So Nita says, "Fuck yeah." And of course, it's JD, a comic book food truck. Nice.
Yeah, man.
That's what her fuck yeah was about.
I mean, that's low hanging fruit. That's something that one of us should have tried a long time ago, and it's just sitting there waiting for someone to tackle it.
What, the food truck?
Yes.
There's actually a comic book man that they did that.
Yeah.
But they made it look like an ice cream truck. Didn't work out.
There's a guy, I don't know if you guys are familiar with from Comics with Bueller, Travis.
Yes.
So he's right now driving around the country in his mobile truck, going to every comic shop in the country.
That's right. He was in Utah.
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, these whatever he's trying, it seems it's working for him because he's got sponsorship from Whatnot. He's got sponsorship by Black Box. So we need to get in bed with that kind of stuff. If someone's willing to do it, can you sponsor us too and like just give out stuff as you go to these stores?
Yeah, right.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
Is it Scout and Aftershock have ambassadors? They go to the shops. Like I know a few of these guys, and that's another market to tap. Like if you like, and they get product from them. They don't get paid. They get product. They get exclusive covers, merchandise, things like that, and they go in their city to every comic shop and tell the owners what's coming out, what the new trades are, things like that. So I mean,
kind of like like your old cigarette companies and everything used to have those representatives, and that's actually a really great idea.
That's an awesome fucking idea, man.
It is.
Yeah.
That's
really
awesome. Oh, Daddy! See, I'm taking notes.
And that's the thing. There's enough people in this business who want to do comics that we could figure this out. We could really figure this out.
Exactly, because you just need 1 or 2 guys per city, you know, who really want to do it. You know. But hold on, before we go on to that, I want to talk about a couple of the campaigns. I'm gonna pull up one of them. I somehow managed to get my computer to do this. And here is Mr. Ruben.
Yes, sir.
You know, The Illusion Witch books 4 and 5. Man, you want to walk us through this a little bit?
Yeah. So The Illusion Witch tells the story of Adia Locke, who is a world famous illusionist. On the top layer, she's got everything that anybody could ever want: money, fame, beauty. But on the inside, she's kind of disconnected from humanity, from actually being a real person. She suffered some trauma in her life, losing her father and her son in very pinnacle points in her life, and has made her very cynical and cold. So she gets pulled into this fantasy world called Sarai, and told that she is their last hope. And very reluctantly, she goes, but she doesn't really see herself as the hero. So the story pretty much tells the story of Adia Locke's journey of really just facing her inner demons to face those outward demons that are plaguing this fantasy world, and we kind of figure out why she's there and so on and so forth as the story goes on. But I've got I had a really great team: line artist Andrea Erico, my colorist is PH Gomez, and my letterist is Dave Lentz. And I've been very, very fortunate to have plenty of covers by some great guys. Bruno Oliveira, we were just talking about Marvel. He did Alice in Wonderland homage for the Behemoth release. Chris Campana, who's done Red Sonja. So I've been very lucky to be able to bring in people who are way more talented than me to help me do this, my little thing. So yeah, we've got about 12 hours left on the campaign. It's capping off this mini series, so to speak, of Adia Locke and her story and her time in Sarai. You can pick up issues 4 and 5 physically. You can catch up on all 5 digitally, and if not, you can go to your local comic book store right now and order the books through them. So there's plenty of ways to get it.
Nice. Now, who's the publisher that's doing it through the that you can order from the comic book shops?
That's I'm putting it out through Behemoth.
Nice.
Yeah, really excited to be working with them. They just signed a huge deal. We're acquired by a massive entertainment company. The owner of the music label that acquired Behemoth actually is the son of the director of Rocky. So they've been in the industry for a long time. They manage like the Smashing Pumpkins and a bunch of other bands that I'm not going to pretend to know. But yeah, no, it's really exciting. They're snatching up a lot of cool IP. they're doing a lot of big things, you know. So this is their first fantasy book. Besides Birthright, I think not Birthright. Kingdom Come, I believe, is the other fantasy book that they're doing, but that's based on a video game. So this is like their first, you know, creator-owned fantasy book on the title. So I'm excited.
Yeah, man, it looks awesome. Like I said, I've been eyeing it for a minute.
Yeah, thanks.
But you know, I'm a trade waiter, so
I hear you. I have this dream that you know, I'm gonna be able to do this thing. Hopefully Behemoth will get on board and we'll do like a hardcover. I want to do like a hardcover, like extra large. I don't know if you guys are into Adventure Man at all. I don't know if anybody's reading that.
Yeah, that's a good book.
Yeah, with Terry Dodson, that he does the art. They have for volume 1, they have a beautiful oversized hardcover that my fiance was nice enough to get me for something. I can't remember what she got it for me for, but she got it for me. And I just love that book. And I was just like, man, it'd be so cool to do something like this for the Illusion, which just something a little oversized with a hardcover, I think would just be so dope. So hopefully, and of course, you know, we'll do the soft cover thing too.
No, yeah. I mean, you know, like I said, it looks incredible. I ordered it through Diamond. But yeah, I mean, I'd suggest everybody order, you know, either here or on Diamond, get them both, you know.
Thank you.
You know, but yeah, it looks incredible, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's a labor of love. It came from a place of you know, it came from a place of love and pain, and I think that, you know, as creators and writers, I think for me at least, it's always really important to write what you know, no matter how big of a scale it may be, is come from a place that means something to you, that actually speaks to you. And, you know, I dealt with that. You know, I didn't lose, you know, a son or a mom, you know, or father. I lost my mom, you know, but that situation alone made me look at life differently. And my experience through wading through the trauma of losing my mom and the mourning and the kind of recovery period, all that stuff was, you know, important to me, you know, and I feel like we've all gone through similar situations in one way or another when it comes to that, whether we've lost a friend or a family member, and the way that we respond to those things, to those losses, you know, is different for everybody. So I think, you know, for the Illusion Witch, what I, you know, was important for me was to tell a story of somebody who had forgot what it meant to not be afraid to lose, right? Like we all have that fear, but that shouldn't stop us from connecting and experiencing life and really being the best possible version of ourselves that those people who we have lost would want us to be. So, you know, that's, you know, the Illusion Witch in a nutshell, except I wrap it up in a big adventure fantasy world with talking animals and a 3-headed wraith hunting her like a madman. So, you know, but other than that, yeah.
I love how that breeze off your tongue. And the 3-headed wraith, you know?
Yeah.
That's nice. All right, cool. All right, we got one more campaign to pull up. Bam. There it is. The Edge. Well, it's still in the sign-up process, but you know, Mr. Marvin, what do you got?
So, I mean, you know, we probably all know the story by now. We've got the Edge is a drug that can grant those special abilities, but could kill you or drive you insane. But I mean, it's progressing now, and this is going to give you the 4-issue trade plus 3 previews. But instead of me talking and jabbering on it, why don't we just play the trailer? Because
you're gonna make me play the trailer? Okay, fine.
Yeah.
For you, okay. For you only because I like you.
This isn't officially supposed to go live until this coming week, but you know, I'm a nice guy, so let's just see it.
Right.
I put it in the chat, the YouTube link.
Wait, is it you put the trailer in the chat?
Yeah, did sir.
All right, hold on. Now you gotta make me work. You know.
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, I'll just talk about
the show. Of course, you gotta work.
This is not what this is about, sir. This is not what this is about. I am not about work. You know, I'm just here to talk crap and you know, just you know, and look at your face. That's it.
Damn right, it's a good looking fucking face, baby. It's a good looking face.
No, it's
Let's
not.
talk about Marvin. Hold on.
Yeah, talk about Marvin.
I'm sorry.
So we do have another convention coming up in West Virginia this next weekend, Kazakon. After that, we're
I'm sorry,
doing
what con? Coffee con?
Kazakon.
Okay.
It's a con with a cause.
It's a comic book for what?
Cause.
Wait, it's a con for what?
Cause. A cause.
A con.
Cause. Con.
Listen.
Again, you're not getting it?
No.
Cause. Like a cause. A con.
Kazakon.
Oh, it's for a cause. CAUSE.
Yeah. Like wish,
cause.
make a wish foundation or a
Yeah.
Right.
It's a cause. For a cause. Yeah.
Cause, man. Come on. Cause.
Yeah. No, St. Jude's.
Okay.
After
That's
that,
right.
we've got the first ever Pittsburgh Book Fest. And then in June is Three Rivers Con. That's going to be our big show. It's going to be Three Rivers. We're actually kicking off the script to score in a panel there at Three Rivers. So we're going to have do some filming there for the show.
All right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna play this video.
Secret classified, but when it comes for you better run and hide. They don't know what it is, can explain it. All they know is that it's coming for you. They don't know what it is, can contain it. All they know is that it's coming for you. Lane, stick in a reminder, him, ship, 10 drop, lane, stick in a reminder, him, ship, 10 drop,
Very nice.
Sorry about that.
You know, a funny little side note. Marvin originally asked me to be the guy with the Uzi that shows up in the trailer. I don't want to overshadow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You would have taken up too much space on the screen.
You mother son of
Side note to add on top of that, James Reed lettered the first 5 issues of the agency.
Oh.
James is the man.
James lettered my very first Storm Chasers ash can way back in 2003. Yeah, digital webbing. Who remember?
Digital webbing.
Yes.
Do you go there? Have you been back on there ever?
I have not.
I was back on there like 3 years ago, and people were still acting like jackasses, so I left again.
Really?
Yeah, that's not good. Hold on, we got this from Mr. Joseph. I'm just going to rant. I have said this before to those who are doing all ages books. If you remember the Book It campaign from school, who reinvents that for independent creators? There you go.
Yeah.
So I'll answer that real quick. As part of this little tour thing we want to do, Script to Screen, we are going to doing panels at schools.
Okay, cool.
No. Very cool, man.
I'm breaking out, man. I'm doing whatever. I don't
Good
care.
shit.
Do it.
Whatever it is, I'm going to do it. Somebody invite me to something, like I'm there. Where we gotta be at? Well, just tell me where to be at.
All right. Carlos says, looks great. I've seen previous campaigns on Kickstarter moving. Well done. Nice.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So Marvin, well, you're still in the sign up. When are you going live again?
May 12th.
May 12th. All right, cool. Very good. Very good.
We were supposed to originally launch on 420, but it wasn't ready. I didn't feel like that I could press that launch button and was confident that I liked what I was looking at when I was looking at the
book. All right, cool. All right, I got a couple of questions. Business or less business? All right, we'll do this one. Fuck it. What's a piece of merch you really want to do? And I think I've asked this one before, but not to the people that are here. So I think I've said it before, like I've done pins and t-shirts, like, you know, what is that piece of merch? Because it's funny, whenever I do merch, I don't really do it for the fans. I sell it to them, obviously, but I really do it for myself because it's something I want. So, Ruben, what's that piece of merch you really want to get your hands on?
Toys. I would love to do toys. Action figures. You know, those I love those. I've actually I'm blanking on his name, which I hate that I do, but he's done some really good. This guy that I know that has done some great stuff, has ran a couple successful Kickstarters, and he's got comics for the toys, but the toys are just
Jason?
high quality.
Which one?
I think it's like Animal Kingdom or something like that. Yeah, Jason. Yeah. I wanted to say Jason, but I'm like, you know what? That's like such a common name. I don't even know if that's his name. Yeah, no, he's a beast, man. Like the stuff that he does is just really great stuff, and
he's a good dude, man. He's a good
dude. He's a good dude. We talked the other day, like for like 30 minutes on, you know, on DMs, just going back and forth, and I was picking his brain about that, about how do we approach that, and he was like, well, it's a long road. He's like, you know, when it comes to the toys, we're talking about building a 6-month campaign before we even launch, you know. So I liked where his head was at in terms of just longevity and trying to build that pre-market, you know. So when you hit that launch button, like Marvin was saying, you're comfortable. Not only does the campaign look great, the product is ready, and you know you've built up anticipation for it. So, and again with the toys, they're not cheap. They're pricey, so you want to make sure that you hit that you know you hit a certain amount in those first few days, so you can really hit your goal. So I'm pushing to actually you know make what I want, and like you, JD, I'm not doing it for the kids. I'm doing it so that I can play with my own toys. Exactly. I don't want to say play with myself because that's gonna that's a whole different podcast. But
those different toys there.
Those are different toys. But no, man. Yeah, I've even gone as far as, you know, I'm about to be in I'm about to be in an anthology where the story that I did, I actually there's a point where these guys, it's a zombie story. They walk into the store and it's all ran down, but they've got a bunch of like toys and statues on the side, and I purposely put like all of my IP as the toys and the statues. And like, you know, so I'm even going as far as that, where I'm trying to manifest it. So, you know, putting it on paper so it becomes a reality.
Yep. Nice. Marvin, what do you got?
So this year I'm going to cross off action figures and tabletop game from the list.
Nice.
So video game has to be on the next thing that I chop off.
Okay. All right.
I mean that one's going to be the most challenging kicker, because like you said, that action figures cost a lot. Game development is
that's another black hole,
right? Where you sink or swim into the world of things. I mean, it's a lot easier to do like PC through Steam than it is to do like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. But man, I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, man, come on.
It's just as wild as animation to me. Yeah. Like, you know, as much as I want to do it, you know, like Marvin brought up a really great point, these independent streamers and things like that. Like as much as I would love to do it, and I've got I know so many actors who would literally show up for me, who would lay down vocals for a full season. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of animation, the cost is just, you know, like you, I've explored it.
$900 a second.
It's just so crazy.
And that's just like so the bottom crazy. Of the barrel stuff.
Yeah. No, and I've talked to some really great guys in animation groups who are like, listen, I'm willing to give you a break, but it's like floating at that, you know, 700, 800, you know, and it's like, how do you do it?
You're talking to Marvin and I go back and forth on a regular basis on our stops and our stalls because we're in the same place. Just like Marvin's ready to cross stuff off, I was ready to go and pull the trigger on these bad boys, like you. But we got some hangups going on, man. You know,
it happens.
Always something, and it's like every delay just adds more and more fucking money, dude. You know, prior to the last presidency, I was looking at a quote of almost $40,000 for 3,000 units. right? And subdivision of 500 figures within each of those units. Okay. After the presidency, that rose to.
Hold on a second. I just want to clarify. So was it 3 figures, 3,000 units each, or 3,000 units total?
3,000 units total, with an MOQ of 500 units for each variation, right? So I mean that included like paint appliques and stuff like that. After that, what I say was like 35, 40,000. After that, we were looking at 60, right? And then now with the pandemic, dude, the shipping alone is fucking disgusting. So there's a guy who just pulled off something called Plunderlings. I don't know if you've seen the Kickstarter for that. Dominican dude, based out of here in New York and DR. And, you know, we were chewing the fat for New York Comic Con last year. And Marvin knows, I told him about this. Prior to the pandemic, he was looking at a shipping charge of like $5,000. The same amount of product coming over for last year's New York Comic Con, $25,000.
Wow.
In just fucking shipping from overseas. And it's like, you know, we're indie. You can't. We want this stuff to get out there, but we're gonna transfer those costs to the consumer.
Yeah,
they're really not gonna pick up the product when it's an unknown quantity like that.
Right. Well, you saw with the prices of the loose collector when they did like Critter and things like that, the costs on those ones, and you saw the Mr. Hyde figure they did.
Right.
Was was it $125 Australian, or a little over $160 Australian, 125 US. So I mean, how much is Big Bad going to sell it for? Almost $200.
Right. The Kickstarter, the Critter figures alone, I think when he was doing it, they were what, 65 each?
65, and they're 80. Yeah, they're 80 on Big Bad.
It's like I know, you know, manufacturing is a totally different realm, right? Than what we're doing. But goddamn, man, if there's something that can be done to produce this in Latin America, I'd fucking kill for that. One, I could speak the language. 2, I can fly there in less than a 16-hour flight. 3, I've got freelancers that I've worked with in South America that, God forbid, I can't get out there, I get stuck. You know, I've got an exit strategy. You know what I mean? Going to Asia, I'm fucking lost, man. You know, 16 hours. I got to hire the translator. Don't know where the fuck I'm at, right? Don't know if I'm getting ripped off. And you know, I don't have any reps there who will update me on a regular basis.
Now,
hard, man.
Now, obviously, we know shipping has gone up, but 5 times that's egregious on anybody's scale. You know what I mean? Now, what's the reason for that? Are they saying is it because of the holdup because they have all those ships out in the ocean still?
I didn't ask him because that 25,000 in shipping scared me, but I think a part of that had to do with maybe him rushing to have the product for New York Comic Con.
Probably.
Oh, gotcha.
You know,
well, I mean, it's the difference in cost between putting it on a plane and putting it on a boat.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
And also, if you want it to actually be dropped off at an airport and not just thrown out with a parachute, too, you have to go find it.
Right.
Okay. just drop it in Brooklyn, right?
We dropped it somewhere over Central United States. And good luck.
You get an email with a latitude and longitude.
Yeah, right. The bad thing about that was before you kind of go, "Oh, that's a joke." Now you got to think, "Wait, is he serious?"
Well, I mean, that's what happened with a drone, like Amazon's drones. If the battery is running dead, what would it do? It's just going to drop your package and then hightail it back to the factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
it's going to drop that weight.
And so the Hawk doesn't get it.
You guys laugh and joke, but I'm 1 degree separated from somebody who used to do something in the 70s in the Red Hook ports in Brooklyn. And,
Yeah.
Story for another time, but
Seriously, stay away from
off the air. Excuse me. It's a story for off the air.
I mean, I think the answer to it is that it has to be done. If you're going to absorb all that cost, you might as well do it in the States, because that'll erase the shipping charges. But can it all even out with what he was trying to pay or get charged for that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, well, he's not here, but like Damion Waldbrunn, who was supposed to be on tonight, but he claims he got sick. I don't know. Damion, if you're watching this, I don't believe you. No, I'm only joking. But he has a company called O Toys, and he manufactures toys. He does limited runs. He does like 5, 10, whatever, prototypes. He does, 3D sculpting and all that jazz. So, it's interesting what he's trying to do is see people, how they're manufacturing toys in their own houses, small scales. I know, Rosario, don't you have a 3D printer?
I use 3D printer. It's not cost effective.
Oh.
And the type of resin that's used, it's either A, too brittle, or B, too rigid to even take paint applications. And when I'm talking about not just paint applications, I'm talking about having the actual formula be dyed to have your base colors printed up a certain way. And having those dyes in there with those super rigid pieces that could last, or flex resin, it does something to the formula and destabilizes it. So whereas you think you're still getting that hard piece of resin printed out, you're getting floppy jello coming out of your resin mix. On top of that, you've got the paint applications, and how much are you willing to fucking do when you've got an entire line of books to produce and a small little independent company to run, right? If you got a tiger character, you're fucked. And I mean, it may sound stupid, but there's this guy online who used to work for Mattel, and he gives all this insider information and stuff like that. When he ran the Mattel He-Man line for a while, and there was crossover with the DC stuff. So he shows this one image of a DC Batman figure, and that was one of the most expensive figures to produce. And you figure, why? It's just 2 colors, white and black stripes, right? But every black stripe on Batman was a 1 penny charge. Multiply that by how many stripes, by how many units, and even though they had the molds pre-existing, he was not cost effective at all. And it's almost like learning a new fucking language, right? Marvin knows about this. It's how many times can you reuse the mold? How many molds are you going to reuse, right? And putting that into the fucking course. It just, we eat with our eyes, but at some point, eating with our eyes becomes detrimental to what we are trying to do, which is produce comic books. And I want to produce good stories. I do. But again, I want to have people play with me, right? People play with what's in my fucking head. And having that at your table at a con is going to make you stand out from the other, 50, 60, or like New York Comic Con, 100 small press guys that are out there, or girls that are out there,
Now here's something. Have you ever thought of doing like okay, so for role playing, a lot of those guys do little pewter figures, right? Like what's the difference between, say, because I know a lot of that stuff's manufactured here. So what's the difference between that sort of thing and, let's say, I know full articulation, obviously.
That's huge. That's a huge difference, because when you're talking about full articulation, let's say for a 28 point of articulation figure, you're looking at 25, 26 different molds, because you're doing for each part. Yeah, Calderon, I know you got your piece over there, dude.
Yeah, I got this guy, man. But
right, he's the maquette. There you go, man.
Yeah.
Right, and you're a cautionary tale as well. How many are you sitting on? Right, how many are you sitting on?
Well, they also have the Legos. Like there are companies out there that will do custom Legos. I did a custom Lego for one of my characters, but it was cost effective 6 years ago. Now it's not. The costs have all gone up. So where it was like $3 or $4 a unit back then, it's $8 to $10 now. So you're like, holy crap! Now it's just cha-ching. And as costs go up, even so, I did the coffee for this Kickstarter,
Right.
and this is the price went up on the coffee bags and the coffee that's in there. I'm like, geez, I just got these and the price went up already. So it's like the prices go up with your inflation, but when that thing settles out, the prices don't come back down.
Right.
Well,
sometimes it depends. It depends on it's always about what is it? How many people in the market and what's the demand?
Yep.
And then how many manufacturers you have. If you have enough manufacturers coming in, the price will settle. The price will drop. But I don't know how many manufacturers are going to come in saying, we'll make you a bag of coffee.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like 2 or 3.
When you get back to the figures, though, I've done all the legwork to figure out all of the machinery that's needed, and I can get the desktop versions of them, right? But even that machinery is going to cost anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000 just shipping it, right? And okay, I could get it. Now there's the process of figuring out how to do it, and then the other process of once you figure out how to do it, well, god damn it, am I going to get burnt out before I make all those units? Right? And listen, we're some picky bitches. All of our character designs are intricate as fuck. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they're one color with fucking goggles on them and stuff like that. That's just easy to print up and paint up.
Right.
So that's a fucking process as well.
All right. Michael, you got anything before we wrap it up?
Nothing special. I would probably look at caps, because I'd want something that other people see the logo or the character. I want you to like it, but I also want you to advertise at the same time. So
there you go.
Gotcha. Like the thing you were pimping on your head?
Exactly. See, it was a conversation starter.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, look,
There you go.
Marvin,
Nice.
stand up, Marvin. Stand
The
up,
reason
Marvin.
why I would, but
Throw
see,
that
the,
off,
thing,
Marvin.
the reason I would go with hats instead of shirts, though, is because a shirt is changed out every day. A lot of people wear hats all the time. So,
Well, true. But you're wearing Wonder Duck. There's one for George,
there you go.
right?
There you go.
I think it's fucked up that I asked Marvin to show off his shirt and he shows us his junk. You know what I mean? Bro, come on, man. Why you gotta make everybody jealous on the screen, brother? You know,
Wow.
you don't have to go that far down, Papa.
Terrible, Rosario. So yeah, all right, cool, guys. Well, we made it to the end. I mean, it was good. But before we get there, Ruben, let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Ruben the Writer, Instagram at Ruben the Writer, or on Facebook at Ruben Romero or Ruben the Writer. And yeah, that's about it. Like 10 hours left on the Kickstarter. Go find it.
Nice. Yes. Well, there's a link in the show notes, so you can hit the link and go.
100%.
Yep. Go get it. Also, you can go to your local retailer and order it as well. So that would be
sir.
just. Mr. Marvin, where can they find you, sir?
On Facebook and Instagram at The Edge Comic, on Twitter at Marvin Wynn. We got the Kickstarter coming up. We're going to have that prismatic cover.
Nice.
Lang versus Revenant. It looks pretty in the sunlight, so you got to take it outside to play with it. So hit me up. Look out for that Kickstarter that's going to be launching on May 12th.
Yep, you can pre-launch. You can sign up for the pre-launch. That's also in the show notes, so you can go sign up. Mr. Lanning, where can they find you and your work, sir?
Of course, you can check me out on Linktree at Linktree / C Michael Lanning. Get over there. You can like my face. Send me a friend request on Facebook. Like my art on Facebook. And yes, I actually do get on Twitter. I know that's hard for a lot of people to believe, but you can go over there, follow me on Twitter, and who knows, I'll follow. Might even follow you back. Then, of course, also on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. I keep wanting to say a.m. 9 p.m. Eastern. Dispatches from Outside the Box, where we talk about everything that makes you a geek. So
nice.
Yes. Mr. Rosario, where can they find you, sir?
You ready?
Yes.
All right, first and foremost, you want to check us out on unstoppablecomics.com. Brand new redesigned website. All of our product, or the majority of our product that is still in print and digital, and a few other things will be going up there. But all of our news will be there up to date. Then you can find us at Unstoppable Comics on Facebook, Unstoppable Comics on Instagram, Unstoppable COM, 15 fucking letters on Twitter. God damn it. You can also find me at J the Unstoppable on Instagram. And we're going to be launching the Storm Chasers issues 1 through 8 on Kickstarter soon. The pre-launch page was supposed to be up by the 22nd, but Kickstarter, they're running behind, so I can't promote my pre-launch page or anything like that. But we're going to be launching the new Storm Chasers Kickstarter very soon, and then I have JD talked about it earlier, right? Fellowship of the Indies.
Yep.
A bunch of books that came together through adverse circumstances, and we're trying to get our money back. So check us out on there, folks.
Yep. Go check it out. It's $25. You get 9 books. So, plus shipping. So it's a good price, good value. Right? So
sorry. If you really go up, you can also get those other books, which I actually did one for. So
what?
There too. So
what was that book?
Calico of Shard, which is
go.
Arrow comic book, me and Randy Zimmerman. So
Okay.
Yes. All right. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Oh, yeah. And if you can find me, you can find me at theoswaldchronicles.com, talltalesonline.com, JD Calderon on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, DeviantArt, all those places. You just hit me up wherever you want. And I will be seeing you guys hopefully next Sunday. Maybe I won't skip it. No, I already got people booked, so we'll be there. We'll be here. So thank you guys. Thank you, Marvin. Thank you, Ruben.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing those books. Mr. Rosario, I'll be talking to you soon. Mr. Michael, I'll be talking to you soon. I'm working on it. That's all I'm saying. I'm working on it. Right? I'm on the clock. Shit. Anyway, take it easy, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night.
Night.